In several videos, David Carroll and Akwisi 100 have made mention of the murals painted for Freddie Gray and the placard made to dedicate the deaths of Michael Brown. This is not a uncommon practice in inner city communities. In my very neighborhood here in the South Bronx, I have seen many of these murals dedicated to these Negro males like this all over. I mean, I remember walking on my way to the post office to take care of some business. I would pass by a mural almost every other day. And another when I'm going shopping to the supermarket, I would run into another one of these murals dedicated to one of these dysfunctional Negro males. They're a pretty standard thing in communities of color. You will always see one of these murals dedicated to one of these Negro males. You will always see one of them. And what we're seeing here in the case of your Freddie Gray and your Michael Brown, the canonization of thugs, this is a social norm in African American communities. And this is something that, black women love to do, is they love to canonize these thugs and these gangsters and, celebrate them as heroes because this is, comes out of their state of arrested development as well because they are also stranded in a state of arrested development. For them, making a mural of this guy is the equivalent of, celebrating a celebrity like your Tupac or your Biggie Smalls or even the drug dealer or the gangster they used to date back in the day. This is just something that Negroes do, is that they celebrate these guys as heroes. This I can even go back as far as the 1970s when people used to do this for your pimp or your number man. In the African American Negro community, celebrating criminals as heroes is something that is seen as a social norm. Um, and this is what it's a backwards way of thinking, but it's just something that these Negroes like to do. They like to celebrate these guys. They like to see them as heroes. They like to see them as icons. Um, and it's just something that the Negro does. Um, and I see it as backwards and dysfunctional, but this is just something that they have been doing for the last 40 years because, this is who your black woman sees as a hero and an icon. This is who she looks up to and sees in a leadership role. But your Negro male, he just can't, see that this is dysfunctional in and of itself when canonizing, you know, a criminal or a thug, you know, or a pimp or whoever, it does not make any sense. You don't make these kind of guys into heroes. I mean, if they are dysfunctional, if they're the worst part of black society, why are we making them into heroes? Why are we making them, putting them on the same level of a Martin Luther King, who fought for civil rights, or a Malcolm X? These guys have done nothing outside of being killed by a police officer. I mean, you have countless other black men, in your community who need to be, praised and supported. But, in the black community, no one will praise those guys. The black man coming out of college would never get a mural. The black man who starts a business would never get a mural. Um, a black man who is a good father to his children would never get a mural. But yet, African American people will sit there and canonize people who have done next to nothing outside of selling dope and stealing cigars. And that shows us, how little value black people have on the lives of the best and brightest in our communities. What we really needed to do is to show that the best and brightest in our communities have value, and that they matter to us. Because in order to show, again, that a black life matters, you think you would be out supporting the best and brightest in your community and trying to help them, support them in taking their lives to the next level. But your Negro, for the most part, won't do this. They will let, your college graduates fall through the cracks. They will let their kids who are doing well in school fall through the cracks. And they will spend 95% of their time trying to fix and caretake these dysfunctional thugs, gang members, dope dealers, they will spend 95% of their time fixing and caretaking these people in the hopes that eventually they will hit it big. Usually, this is the delusion many of your black women have because, again, they live in this world of arrested development. They still think that they can, some of them, because there's two types that they do. Some of them think that they can fix and caretake this guy and he will become this decent human being, and others are gold diggers looking to, you know, take this guy once he gets to the next level, milk him for all he has, and get some money out of him that way. This is why they are so attached to these basketball players, these rappers, and other assorted dysfunctional mixed nuts in the Negro male community. They don't see these guys, as they don't. That's why they don't want to deal with the college graduates or the other type of black men because, again, they cannot be led. These men, on the other hand, can be led. This is why they want to canonize them and make them heroes because they see them as somebody that they can control. And making him into a hero, is something that they do. And again, a lot of them also were part of the Arrested Development thing is that this was the guy they used to date in high school. This was the guy, who they used to get, their Gucci bags and their gold chains from, because a lot of these women are my age, and this is what they used to do. They used to date these guys in the hopes of getting the Gucci bags, the gold chains, the Gucci boots, the leather jackets, riding around in his Jeep, and this is what they're reminiscing about when they think about these guys. And this is why they like to make these guys, into heroes, and they like to canonize them and make them into icons. But again, as I've stated just a minute ago, these guys are the biggest simps and tricks out there. And, what they do is that they know, most women know that they'll submit to them and they know that they can control them. But making this guy into a hero is something that has been done, it's done on a regular basis. And the reasons why it's done is because, your Negro community is stuck in a state of arrested development. It's been stuck that way since the 70s. I mean, back in the day, people used to admire the pimp in the same way and the number man in the same way, but they never made murals to these guys. But today, since about the mid 1990s, they make murals to these guys. They make them into heroes. They, canonize them. But comparing them to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and people like that who have actually made contributions to civil rights and, sacrificed their life to the black community, it's a real backwards and retarded concept, but this is what your Negro does because in their eyes, this is what they think of as a hero, not understanding that, there are real heroes in their community every day. There are black men in their community every day trying to do the right thing and trying to do right by them and trying to, help build their community into something, but they take these type of men for granted. They don't appreciate those type of men. They don't support those type of men. And then they get upset when those men walk away. Again, this goes back to that whole codependency that I've seen. They'll tell this man who is trying to do right in his community, he's an Uncle Tom. They'll tell this black man who is doing right in his community, he's a sellout. They'll tell him he's an Uncle Ruckus, all because he refuses to follow a dysfunctional narrative for manhood that is defined by black women. And that is one that is completely self-destructive and, detrimental to them. I mean, nobody, again, wants to make a mural to a guy who graduated college. Nobody wants to make a mural to a guy who has started a business. Nobody wants to make murals, for guys who want to mentor young boys. Those people, they don't see as heroes. Those people, they don't see as icons. Those people, they take for granted. And then when those people walk away from the community, again, they launch into their shaming language. They want you to be there for them, but then they don't want to support them. That's what's so backwards about, African American Negroes regarding, the people in their community who are trying to make a difference is that they don't see them as valuable people. And then it all goes back to that whole Black Lives Matter thing. If your life mattered, you would be trying to support the people who are trying to build the businesses in your community, the people who are trying to mentor your young boys so that they won't be thugs like a Freddie Gray or a Michael Brown. You will be trying to support the people in your community who were trying to, trying to get themselves through school and push themselves through school. These people would be the people getting rewarded and praised. In every other community in the world, the guys who are out there doing this are rewarded and supported, but in the black community, it's pretty much the reverse, and it's been the reverse. I dare to say, since the 1970s, and this is the model that has always been. And you look at the canonization of these Negro males, and again, it's nothing new for me because I have seen it done countless times. From the guys, pouring the malt liquor out on the ground to these graffiti murals that are painted on the side of a foreign-owned store or a foreign-owned business. And this is what people in the black community do, and they don't see how backwards it is to celebrate the life of the villains while marginalizing and minimizing the very heroes in your own black community. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.